Hey everyone, that's right, I'm orange now. So I've done a bunch of stuff, and I thought it was time again to make another update video on my Minecraft world. So let's see what we got here. So first, I wanna go head down here, just down my path here, my landscape or my field. So first thing first, speaking of foxes, I've showed this in the very first video I made of this actually. This is kind of my fox habitats. So the story was I love foxes, but basically nowhere anywhere close to anywhere here within a couple thousand block radius where like any fox biomes. So I thought I make my own fox biome. So I've had this already in the first video, like, I don't know, probably 2 years ago by this point. So I brought a bunch of foxes over here in a painstaking operation through 1,000 block long nether tunnels. It was horrible, but I do have a lot of foxes here. So what I changed was, first of all, I changed the fencing around here. So previously I had like kind of, ouch, ouch, ouch. I had like a wooden wall all the way around here, which I wasn't so much of a fan of because it kind of looked more like a fortress and not like an animal habitat. So I wanted something more slim here and something where they can also look out and such. So it doesn't look like they are kind of trapped in like between giant walls. So I went through, replaced everything with kind of slim, just iron gates, iron fences here, and I think it looks a lot nicer now. It has a much nicer, more open feel, getting more of a breeze through here, which is nice. So seems just more natural and more appropriate, I think, for an animal habitat. So the other thing I did was, so previously, oops, I shouldn't try to not die here during my showcase. So previously, the wall extended about until here, I think, and I expanded this whole thing for this whole area over here, over the water. So this is kind of like this is a natural river biome here. Um, so the reason I wanted to include this, previously I made this lake here in the middle of this biome, this is not a natural lake. I made this myself. The problem with lakes you make yourself is you don't have any fish spawning in here. So the lake does look pretty dead. And you know, when I see like foxes in the wild, what they always like to do is they jump into the water and hunt the fish that are in the water. And they don't do that here because there's no fish. At the beginning, I collected a couple fish manually and put them in here, but they were quickly hunted away by the fox, and then there were no fish left. So I wanted to have a body of water in the fox habitat that actually has natural spawning fish here. Um, which is this? I'm not seeing any right now, so there's some squid here at least, but foxes don't care about those. But I've definitely seen some foxes. There's one over there. Um, I've seen some foxes come over here and hunt for a couple fish. Oh, there's fish down there. Okay. So I've seen a couple here hunting for some fish, which is nice. So yeah, they can have a bit more fun here. It's not so boring. There's not a lot of foxes. Most foxes are hanging out over there, which is just, I think this is just because of that's where I first brought them. And it takes a very long time for them to spread, but there's already one over here, and occasionally they do come over here, but most of the time they hang over on this side. But after a while, I'm sure they'll spread more. I do want to go through here through this biome a little bit more and make it look a bit more like a natural spruce forest, the way they generate now in Minecraft, with the boulders and stuff and the podzol. So I might go through here and redo a bunch of terraforming later on, but for now I mostly wanted to make sure that the thing is bigger and has access to water and has a nicer fence. So that might come at a later time, but yeah. Look at them. There's so many here. They're so cute. So now coming out of here, over there, of course, my village. I have not really done anything with that in a while. But when we go over here, what is this in the background? That is new, right? That's pretty big. Can't believe didn't see that while we went here, huh? This is my first ever attempt at making a castle. I've never made a castle before, and I do like building large things because I don't know, I'm not very good with like very small scale detailing, so I always feel more satisfied when I can build something large and make it look cool just on sheer size alone. But I never made a castle before. And honestly, the main reason is I don't really understand the architecture of castles. Like, I know what a castle looks like, but I can't rotate one in my mind. So I don't understand how to build one because I don't understand how they are laid out. I did look at a bunch of like pictures on Google Images of castles, and it helped a little, but I don't think I still really understand how a castle works. But eventually, I just settled on trying to just combine a bunch of boxes with towers, and that seems to sort of get the idea across. Also, with some bridges here to connect some different parts. So the way, basically, this is my main base over here. I also added beacons over here just for fun. Um, ow. So this right here is my main base, and I've had this kind of peninsula over here, the Badlands Peninsula, between this and this body of water, and I thought it would be cool to have like a large decorative structure over here. And because I also had, which is one of the first things I ever built in this world, this tower here, which also has a bit of a castle wall here, I thought it would be a good idea to maybe expand on this castle theme and just plop a large castle structure down here. Yeah, basically it has this large base around here with a kind of pathway that leads around. Um, so here's a pathway leading under the tunnel, and you can walk all the way around here. And yeah, that's my castle. So I basically built this large platform and then put down various boxes of other structures on here. So we have, it's basically these two main boxes. We have this one, and they are just interspersed with various towers and such. I wanted also to make sure that it's not too symmetrical. So obviously the individual, so this part right here is symmetrical, but I didn't want the whole layout of the castle to be symmetrical. I don't know, I feel like building symmetrical is always just kind of like a cop-out for me a lot of times, because I'm not good enough at building, so I'm like, okay, my intuitive, like, that's not to say that building symmetrical is is like less skilled building, I guess, but the thing is like I don't know, whenever I feel like I don't have any ideas or something, or I don't know really know how to make something, or I don't have any good ideas on how to lay it out, I just build something symmetrical, and this is like my standard procedure with building everything, and I'm trying to break away a little bit from that. So obviously this thing is symmetrical, but yeah, the whole um, the way these blocks are laid out, they are a bit irregular, which I think is nice. Obviously, this is copper. This will eventually turn green. I don't like pre-aging my copper. I always just build with copper and then watch it slowly turn green. I prefer that. Although it looks a bit ugly right now. I don't think this color suits the purple roof very well, but it'll look good eventually. And I do like seeing the copper age over time as I hang around here, so that's cool. Yeah, obviously there's also nothing inside of here. I literally just wanted a large decorative structure. There's no reason for me to build this here. I don't know, maybe at some point I'll fill this with some farms or something, but yeah, for now this is literally just a decoration, this giant thing. And yeah, I built this over the course of about a week or so. So the way I did this, I first laid out a wireframe with netherrack. I like to use netherrack every time I do like temporary blocks or anything, because I have a lot of netherrack, and um, it's also, you can instantly destroy it, so that is cool. So I first laid out a wireframe of this whole thing to get the dimensions right, and then gradually just filled out everything. With various blocks, I tried to give it some variation, a little bit of detailing here on the wall. I'm not super good with the gradients, but you know, I'm getting there. I think it's fine. This looks pretty good for the most part. I'm pretty happy with this. Um, so back here, this part of the castle is something. It looks good when you come from this angle. Like this looks good, but over here it's just kind of very blocky, and also the irregularities with the blocks here are a bit clunky. I'm not really sure. I wanted to use the white terracotta here because I think that's a nice color, but it's not. It doesn't really lend itself very well to blending it with other blocks. So I'm not sure. I might have to experiment a little bit here with this. Generally speaking, like, I have this so close to my main base, so I come here, pass by here a lot. So I'm sure as I have it sitting around and have some time stewing in my mind about this, I do get some ideas on how to build up on this and maybe detail it some more and expand. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty happy with how it looks right now, but there's certainly room for improvement. One thing you might notice if you have a close eye, so I put these jungle trees around here because I think they are very tall and they blend in very nicely with the structure of the castle. The problem I had though is, oh jeez, the problem I had though is this is a badlands biome, so I planted these jungle trees here, and the leaves were all like dark brown because this is badlands. This is not jungle. This is right at the border of a plains biome, but this peninsula that I built this on is still badlands, so all the leaves were very ugly. So what I did was I farmed a lot of azalea leaves and just replaced all of the jungle leaves manually with azalea, and it looks much better now. It's much nicer, much greener. Problem is still the vines hanging down here are still brown and kind of stinky looking, but can't have everything. I think it is an improvement definitely over just having the brown leaves everywhere here. It did look pretty dreary. Something I really love what I managed to do very well with this castle, I think the sense of just verticality and scale is really cool. Like for example, when you come out of here, which is one of the entrances to my base, this is my storage room right here. Just like coming out of here and flying up to the castle, I think is extremely cool. I love that, and then can go through here and smack your face, and I think that part I did really well. The sense of scale, the sense of verticality. Um, really huge fan of this. But yeah, the detailing definitely does need some work at some places. But I'm sure that'll come over time if I, just let it sit and get some ideas. So after I finished this huge grind of this huge castle here, just placing thousands and thousands of blocks for this, I did a little bit something different and I went exploring. So to see the fruits of that work, we can go over here to the city kind of district that I've been building. So there's not really any new buildings that I have here. But I figured out something I can display in this building, which I originally intended as a museum. Which last time I showed this, there was really nothing in there. It was really pathetic, and it's still kind of pathetic, but I at least have some ideas now. I have a start. So first of all, I have this. I had this last time, the ores of the world. Yeah, I have it labeled now. I thought that was a fun name to call this. I had this upstairs, but I moved it down here because upstairs I had to make space for another thing. And yeah, I went exploring, and I managed to complete my collection of armor trims, which is wonderful. So I got all of the different armor trims now, and I decided I wanted to display them here in the museum. And obviously, just displaying them is one thing, but I also thought like, okay, what can I display them on? Like iron armor looks a bit cheap. Diamond armor, I think the light blue color as a base doesn't suit itself very well as kind of like a neutral base to show off these different patterns of the armor trims. So I thought, the only base armor that I think would look cool as kind of having like a neutral dark base to show off the different patterns the armor trims make would be netherite. And yeah, so those are 16 full sets of netherite armor. So I had to farm 200 pieces of ancient debris, which took me a good number of hours. But you know, I'm kind of glad I did it because I think it does look a lot nicer than if I put it down like on iron armor or something. The diamonds for all the armor and all the armor trims were not a problem. I have a lot of diamonds. In fact, I think I still have a lot left, like one stack of blocks and like 10 stacks of ore or something. So I'm good on diamonds. But yeah, the finding all the netherite was pretty tough. That kind of wore me out. In fact, after I went exploring to find all the armor trims, my world size was like 5 times as big as previously. So I went into MCA selector and cleared out some chunks to trim down my world to make it more manageable. And something I noticed in the nether when you this is my nether in MCA selector. When you go down here, what height is it? I think 16. Yeah. So you see all these patterns here in at -16 in the nether. Yeah, this is me farming for ancient debris. Yeah, it took a while. There are like parts here, this section right here, where it's a bit more irregular. This is where I actually use TNT for mining. I don't know. I never get really good results. Ancient debris mining with TNT, it's always horrible. I feel like. I feel like every Minecraft YouTuber is like in the conspiracy to make TNT ancient debris mining seem more efficient than it is, because every time when I try it, my results are just absolute dog shit, and I just always I waste so much TNT doing this stuff, and then you blow out all these there's another one coming over here, and then you blow out all these huge tunnels, and they're a pain in the ass to navigate. At the end, you after you blow this entire chunk here, you get like, I don't know, 5 ancient debris or something. They're a complete pain in the ass to navigate. I just hate it. I always just end up reverting back to just regular strip mine. That is so much more comfortable to me. I don't know how all the Minecraft YouTubers are doing it, just doing the TNT mining, but it just doesn't work for me. So when we go out of here, so you know, under here, this is the thing where I did the map art on. There's currently no map art on here because I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, I built this to make map art. And then underneath, this is the place where I farm sand. But because I did so much strip mining in my main base, I also thought I'd do a little bit of strip mining here to kind of move my operations a bit. I had um, temporarily a bit of an idea to move my main base over here because there's a lot of space here that I could do to make like farms or a giant storage area or something. But I don't think I will be doing that. But I still have started a nice mine down here. And I installed a bit of a item delivery system over here, which is something I've never done before. I unfortunately don't have a minecart on me, which is awkward, so we have to walk down here. Yeah, I like to strip mine at around yeah, level 3 here. The reason for that is that you can get basically everything. Like level 3 is not an efficient height to mine for diamonds or anything. But you get so many different rocks, like you get diorite, deep slate, regular stone, granite, andesite. You get everything here, which is cool, so I like to mine at height 3 occasionally. So I have here a barrel that I can, you know, if my inventory runs full, I can uh, put stuff in here, and then it gets dispensed out of here and travels in a water stream up into the chest above. And I have the same thing installed in the bottom level at minus whatever the hell diamond level is, minus 50, 56, I think. 54, okay. Yeah, I have the same thing installed here. Yeah, this is connected to a giant cave here as well. Um, so something interesting I found, I can't remember exactly where it is, but I'm sure I'll find it eventually. I'm not even sure if it's on diamond level or on level 3. I have to look around for a bit to see if I can find it. Ah, here it is. This is the first time I ever found a fossil, which is cool. I think these can only like spawn in deserts or something, or jungle or swamps. I think they're. I'm not sure which biomes, but they're limited in which biomes they can spawn in. And apparently this is I do strip mine a lot, but apparently I never strip mine in fossil biomes. So this is my first time ever finding a fossil, so I was super excited about that. Right now it's still sitting down here in the mine, but I should probably, I mean, I do have a museum upstairs, so I should probably dismantle it and put it up there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. First time ever finding something like this. Pretty excited. Alright, and now we're here. Let's head to our next stop. Alright, there it is. This is where we get to the end. Set down. This is just as I showed it last time, I believe. Set into the end portal. So this whole thing, I built a nice kind of welcome hall here that leads up to the end island. Looks much nicer than last time. And also when you come down here, get a much better pathway to the enderman farm. So everything is very nicely spawn-proofed, very nicely enclosed. I'm gonna turn down my audio for this because these guys are very loud. But yeah, everything's spawn-proofed here. You have a lot of space to fly through here comfortably now. So you don't have to do this awkward long walk that I had previously. And it all looks very nicely enclosed and very kind of sturdy. Previously, you know, all of this obviously just floats in the void, but now it looks like it is actually it's actually deep underground or part of a structure or anything. And I do like this a lot more. And yeah, I have Enderman Farm here. I added some hoppers here to automatically dispense of the ender pearls, which is nice. So I don't have so many flying around here. There's always some falling off to the side, but the vast majority now gets sucked up by the hoppers and then just thrown into the void, which is nice. Very happy about this improvement. Oh, they're still so loud. So once we come back up here, so the thing I'm going to show next is not the most detailed thing I ever made, but it's definitely the biggest thing I've ever made. So you know how in the last couple episodes, I said that a couple times actually, I think, I wanted to do something with the End Island. My idea was kind of like a desolate park landscape, but I never really had like a concrete idea in my head. So I eventually landed on something different. So look at this. Basically, my idea was, what if my end island was concave? So yeah, we can watch this from the outside. So I have this large structure around here that leads all the way around. I try to have like a nice gradient on here. I think it turned out pretty well. But yeah, absolutely massive structure. So the way this came to be is kind of like one thing leads to the other kind of situation. So originally I was like, you know, I want to build something in the end, but I'm kind of hesitant to, because if I build something fancy here and then at some point I want to respawn the Ender Dragon and, you know, open up more end gateways or so, or because I need Dragon's Breath for whatever reason, then everything I built in the end would be at risk of getting destroyed. So I was like, okay, let's just get this risk out of the way and just open all the end gateways all the way around, all 20 of them. So I spent a lot of time grinding for gas tiers and then fighting the dragon 20 times to make sure all the end gateways are open. So I have properly future-proofed myself to make sure I never have to spawn the dragon again, and I can just build in here whatever I want. And then I had all the end gateways open, which means I had this really nice ring around the entire end island. And I was trying to figure out what I can do with this. So I was thinking of kind of like a promenade kind of boardwalk that connects all of them, which ended up this thing here. Goes all the way around. And then I was like, okay, now that I have this ring, what if I just connected everything and suddenly this thing became a giant bowl? And I ended up having to mine like, I think 40,000, 46,000 endstone. So the statistics here, they have at some point, this happened like probably over a year ago at this point, but at some point my statistics have reset because of some game crash or something. So this isn't accurate to the beginning of my world, so I feel like with all the strip mining I do, I probably should have more deep slate than endstone. But my endstone when I started this project was very low. So this is probably like, I actually think I mined 46,000 endstone for this. And endstone does not mine very fast, so that was a very tedious grind. And you know what made it even more tedious? So you see, this whole massive structure is always on ground. There's always parts of End Island around here for the structure to be built upon, right? It's not floating anywhere. So, problem was the End Island was on most places much smaller than the giant bowl that I built up there. And the bowl was floating. So I had to, around like at least 3/4 of the entire End Island, I had to manually build end terrain to make it blend in better. Like, for example, so this thing right here, if you go up there, this is the obsidian platform where you spawn in. This used to float in the air. This was in the void. It wasn't very far away from the end island, but this thing was just floating. This was not an underground obsidian platform. You can check my previous videos. This was a floating obsidian platform. So, for example, this entire part here, all of this, I built by hand, just so my stupid giant bowl had something to stand on. So, and on other parts of the island, my artificial terrain is a bit more flimsy. Like here it gets really thin. So it probably, if you know it's man-made, you probably notice it. It doesn't look super natural, but it looks natural enough for my purposes. Uh, and it was such a massive amount of work to build this whole thing. If you want, we can look inside, which is where I mined all the endstone. Yeah, this is the natural. Not even sure. Oh yeah, this is this thing from the outside, and you can see this is where I mined away all the endstone. There's more here, more here, more here. All the endstone mining I've done, absolutely ridiculous. And let's find back. And yeah, over here you see this whole entire thing. This giant, what looks like a giant hole here in the end island. All of this shell here I built myself, just because I had to expand the end island so the bowl has a structure to rest on. And when you look from down here, you see all this netherrack right here. You didn't see any netherrack from the outside. So another fun thing that made the problem with what made building this structure, the outside there, a lot more difficult was that because of my process here with how I put this thing together, I started from the top because my first idea was because I started with the end gateways. So because I started this structure with the end gateways and then I built the boardwalk here, that means I started this thing from the top, which means every time I had to build, I wanted to build, almost every time I wanted to build a new layer of this, um, I had to build like a supporting netherrack structure that I could walk on to build the next layer until I reached the bottom. So I basically had to build this giant ring of various materials here twice. Once to have something to stand on, so I could build it from top to the bottom, and then to have the actual structure, the part that I'm wanting to build. So this was, oh man, this took so long. Absolutely ridiculous what I put myself through here. But yeah, anyways, there's not a lot of stuff here in here yet. So this is obviously where you come out, and then I built like a very subtle pathway. I'm not really sure how to make pathways in the end. I think this works fine. And this leads to the cave down here. I try to make it look natural and irregular. Um, so you can go through this cave, and this leads to the thing that I showed off last time. The giant hanging bridge that leads from the main end island to the outer island that I built. So yeah, because obviously this was originally just hanging from the edge of the end island. But now because I built this giant wall here, I had to find some way to make it accessible. So, because it would suck to just come up this bridge and then suddenly there's a wall in front of you. So yeah, I built this tunnel here, this cave kind of looking thing, and it comes out through the middle eventually. But yeah, I showed this last time, but I still love this thing. This stupid hanging bridge. 2,000 blocks into the void until the outer end islands. Yeah, this is nothing new, but I love this thing, and I wanted to show it again. I need to get new rockets before I head back. So yeah, this is my two big grindy projects that I've done since the last video. I've not done very many different things in this world since my last video, but the two main things I did were very big, so I think that warrants a video. So that was mostly it from what I've done here. Let's head back so the enderman can't get me. Yeah, now I kind of have to find new things to work on again. It's always like when you finish a large project, you're kind of a bit lost and don't really know what to do anymore. This is where I'm at right now, but I do have a couple ideas of stuff that I can do. But yeah, that is it with new stuff from my single player world for now. However, disgusting bugs. Wow, that's disgusting. So I know the video says single player world, but I did play some multiplayer as well. And I'm not going to show all my multiplayer stuff. However, I built two things in particular that I think are kind of something I've never really done before in multiplayer and that I want to show and kind of discuss a little. I played a little on a multiplayer server with friends from the Sonic Adventure era speedrunning community. So first of all, this right here is roughly the spawn area. This is the stuff I made for the most part. This is kind of my first beginner house. It looks pretty nice from the outside. I'm pretty happy with it, but nothing special. One thing I did for the first time pretty much here on this multiplayer server was more extensively work with villagers. Usually I don't do a lot of villager stuff, at least not in the sense of having like a full-on trading hall or anything like this. because usually, like how I always did enchantments in my single player world was to just sit down with an enchanting setup next to an XP farm and just grind out enchanting books and just work like this. This is how I mostly got my enchants in the single player world. For a small handful of enchants, I would get a villager in a nearby village, but I would just generally just let them roam free. I never really set up a trading hall or anything like this, and I still didn't really set up a trading hall because I mentioned this in a previous episode. I think I don't like making stuff where I trap mobs and especially villagers, because look at those. These guys. They're just guys to me. Like I don't want to trap them in one block. And yeah, I do when I do anything with villagers or mobs, I want it to be in a way that they can still kind of do their stuff and just roam around a little bit. I did betray that a little bit here, but I think I found a good balance. So I wanted to have easy access to all sorts of enchantments so the other people that play on the server could get them very easily. So I made a sort of, not really a villager trading hall here, but I made a nice library. So if you go in here, and you see it has these different stations over here. So there's a library guide, has the different floors over here with the different enchantments that are available. And it has all these librarian stations over here. Um, so this is the mending villager. He's here, you can trade mending with him. And he does have a station here with a front desk. And he does have a room here as well where he can sit and go to bed. So he can move around a little bit. If you suspend your disbelief a little bit, it looks like he's just a guy who's working here, not who's trapped. So I don't know. I'm as I've said, I don't like trapping villagers. Always makes me feel bad, but yeah, I did just for the sake of the multiplayer server. I did want to have easy access to all sorts of enchantments, so I thought this was a good balance to do. Yeah, I do have mostly pretty much every enchantment in here that you would want. And this, of course, also goes through a lot of different floors. So it goes down here, nice curvy staircase down, and we have a lot of floors that all look like this. Everywhere the villagers have their little desk here, and the room where they can sleep and, I don't know, take a break in from working. And yeah, this goes like this through, I think, my floor -6. And yeah, I don't know, this is, I think, the nicest solution to a enchantment villager trading hall I could have come up with that is still convenient to use, but still doesn't feel like, enslavement too much. So this feels a lot nicer, and I'm pretty happy with how I managed to make this look. Obviously took a lot of time digging this out, building everywhere the identical workstations here and stuff. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I've never, as I've said in my single player world, I don't really have a lot of need for large scale villager operations. I usually do most stuff without. But if I ever do need something like this in my single player world, I think I would also do it like this. Kind of build like a nice large library with different sections to it. And I think this is a good solution for this that I'm pretty happy with. Yeah, this is the starter area, but I eventually moved away from the starter area. So when exploring a little later, I came across a bit of landscape that I immediately fell in love with, and it's very close to the end portal, which is convenient. So if you come out here, this is the landscape above the end portal, and I saw this and I was like immediately like, wow, this is beautiful. I love this. I want to settle down here. Um, really nice landscape. So my base that I built here, ouch. So first of all, we have this nice path leading up here. I did some terraforming a little bit to have this bridge, obviously, here. And I did a bunch of terraforming to make sure the path like nicely curves up this hill here. And yeah, this leads over to my more advanced base that I made later on in this multiplayer server, with a nice wheat field over here. Yeah, this is how it looks from the outside. Um, some nice bees roaming around. So originally when I settled down here, I followed my first impulse and I built something symmetrical. But then when I put down the outline again with netherrack, it started to look kind of like a old-timey palace sort of thing, which is a vibe I did not want to have at all. So I tore everything down and I was like, okay, let's actively try to build something asymmetric and irregular. I thought of making something like kind of like irregular echo architecture, with different terraces and very overgrown. And I might have been subconsciously a bit inspired by Doc M77's building style in Hermitcraft 9. I don't know, but yeah, I chose to build with end bricks here, kind of like, I don't know, maybe because I was like, okay, yeah, I can. It's kind of like a, oh, you can copy my homework, but change a couple of words so no one notices it. So I guess I that's maybe the reason I built with Endstone here. But overall, yeah, in an attempt to break away from symmetrical builds, I'm very happy with how this turned out, and especially I like how I did the interior. So with how messy it looks from the outside, I also wanted the interior to be a bit convoluted. So you come in here, you first go a glass bridge over kind of like a living situation, living area situation kind of here with some couches. There's a TV here, and the glass bridge leads here into a nice kitchen. Then over to the left here, it goes up into a bedroom. Yeah, very happy with the interiors I did here. I'm not a much of an interior person, but I think, yeah, I think I improved a lot here, building this house, the space, and I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, upstairs here is the bedroom. Then if you go down here, you get to, of course, the living area. Then to the right here is a library, and with a bit of a reading nook. And then in the library, you can once again, you can go up here and have another part of the library where it's a bit more cozy up here. And obviously these are the stairs that lead to the bedroom. So you could break down this wall and you could lead through here. So you could make a pass through here. But I did want to make sure, I did want to have like a very convoluted kind of floor plan here. So I uh, wanted to make sure that this passageway does not actually exist and you just have this kind of nook here connected to the library, which I really like. So yeah, there's my, oh, of course, there's also up here, there's this, I don't know what you call this, like the indoors balcony, where you can sit and look outside and see some bees buzzing by every once in a while, which is cool. So yeah, very happy with this interior. I think I did that very nicely. But then obviously also there is a large kind of industrial area here, and this is my first time ever building a 3x3 piston door. I'm not smart, so I followed a mumbo jumbo tutorial, so thank you for that. But yeah, I did this. And then also, I've had this idea for a long time to have like a large kind of storage hall or something, which is in the dark. Why are there should not be a torch here. Um, I've had this idea for a large storage hall that is largely kept in the dark. I, of course, spawn-proofed this here, so this is all slabs, there's glass on the side. And then when you press the button, it lights up. Boom. And I love that effect. Yeah, I've had this idea for a long time. This is the first time I've actually implemented it. So this is my storage room. It is very big. I love it visually, and it obviously has a lot of storage space. So down here you can see what is stored in these columns. In terms of practicability, this needs some fine-tuning still. I do think this ended up being too big to be super convenient to use. So if I ever like move my base in my single player world, I don't think I would build it like this. I would have to do some thinking about how I want to lay it out more, because this is just kind of something where I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a complete new base from scratch, and I'm gonna make it big to make sure I have so much space. But yeah, it ended up being a bit too big that it's inconvenient to use a little bit. So I don't love this in terms of practicability, but yeah, I love this. This is really cool. It's very big. And I also, when I dug this out, this is obviously inside a mountain. I have a lot of space on the outside, so I was able to connect a couple of farms to the chests directly. So you have like the sugarcane farm here filling up automatically, and also over here is monster drops that fill up from like a bit of a monster spawning platform that is back here, then up there in the ceiling. Down here, this goes down to my mine. I think this looks really cool. A large spiral down to minus 54 with quadruple beacon in the middle. So that part is really cool. And also over here, I have a large furnace array with a super smelter. You can put stuff in here, obviously, and then it starts smelting. Yeah, I don't know. I put a lot of work into this. I'm not. There's a couple of stuff that I would need to overthink if I were to do it again like this. So yeah, I mentioned the storage room is kind of too big. The furnace array, while 32 furnaces, wonderful, nice, fast smelting. Um, the way I put it into this room is a bit impractical because I can't really reach the furnaces very well. So, for example, if I want to get the XP out of a furnace, for example, I don't really have a good way to reach them. I do have to do some awkward scaffolding around here, which is not great. Yeah, it's not ideal. And obviously, up here is a bamboo farm that fuels the furnaces. But yeah, it is good in some ways and not very good in others. So I think the reason I wanted to show this, even though this is not part of my single player world, this kind of just represents to me kind of like a bit of experimenting with different stuff I've had in my head for a long while, and obviously also being in a multiplayer server and having to do a little bit of different stuff than I usually do in my single player world. So, for example, with the villager stuff. And yeah, I think this base here is a good kind of exercise in figuring out how to build large bases. Yeah, if I were to move in my single player world and build a large base elsewhere, I do really like this style of the living area here. So I maybe at some point might make something like this in my single player world. But in terms of practicability, this base just represents a really good learning process for me, how to build a large base. So yeah, I think I do quite like the space, but there's definitely some improvements that could be made with with how I conceptualized it and such. And yeah, this is, I think, a good spot to leave it here. Yeah, I don't have any concrete plans with bringing this to my single player world, but it is definitely something I will be learning from and keeping in the back of my head depending on what I'm planning to do in the future, which I'm not really sure yet, but we'll see. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's yeah, my new stuff. I hope you enjoyed. Would always be happy to hear some feedback and such. Yeah, thank you for watching if you made it this far, and even if you didn't, still thank you for considering to watch. Appreciate it.